Hello everyone, so welcome once again to my channel. Today we will understand the basics of environmental impact assessment EIA, the process, steps involved in it, what is its ecological focus, future projections, purpose and questions. Environmental impact assessment is a study of the probable environmental impacts. Probable means possible or likely to happen. So, EIA studies what might happen to the environment. For example, if we build a factory, it may cause air pollution, it may affect water, it may harm plants and animals. So, EIA studies all these possible impacts before the project starts. So what is the main purpose of EIA? It has two main purposes. First is identify impacts. EIA helps to identify potential environmental impacts. It helps us find out what problems can happen, where they can happen, how serious they can be. This applies to projects, programs, government actions. Second purpose is avoid or reduce impacts. EIA also helps to avoid or reduce damage. After identifying problems, we try to stop them completely if possible or reduce their effects. For example, if a factory causes pollution, we can install filters, we can treat wastewater, we can choose a better location. What impacts are studied? So various different types of impacts are studied, like impacts on air quality, water, biodiversity, social impacts. So EIA looks at all the important areas, not just one. So we can say that without EIA, environment gets harmed. With EIA, we can protect the environment and make better decisions. Is this a global thing? The answer is yes. EIA is used all over the world. Before any project starts, many countries legally require EIA, means you cannot start a project without checking its environmental impact. Each country has its own environmental laws, but idea is same everywhere. EIA is not optional, it's the law. It's compulsory in many countries, that means companies must follow it. When did EIA start? It's not very old, it started around the 1970s and then spread worldwide. Now governments all over the world use EIA in decision making. Before approving projects, governments check environmental impacts. For example, whether it is in India, US, Europe, Australia, all use EIA in some form. You can see the map shows different countries using EIA, means EIA is a global practice not limited to one place. EIA is not just an idea, it is a systematic process, meaning it follows proper steps. Step 1, collect data. First, we collect information about the existing environment. We study the current condition of air, water, land, plants, animals, and this is called baseline data. For example, before building a factory, we check current air quality, water quality, noise levels. Step 2, predict impacts. Next, we try to predict what will happen if the project starts. We estimate pollution levels, emissions, environmental changes. For example, if the factory starts, how much smoke will be released? How much water will be polluted? Step 3, superimpose and model. We compare current environmental condition, predicted future condition. We use models to understand the difference in impact. We place the future situation over the present situation and then see the changes. Step 4, make the decision. Finally, we decide, should the project be allowed, should it be modified, or it should be rejected. The decision is based on whether the project is environmentally sustainable. Future values help to make the decision. We use predictions to decide if the project is safe for the environment. There is no single definition of EIA. Different experts and organizations define it in their own way, but all definitions mean almost the same thing. As per Cantor 1986, EIA is a systematic process to identify impacts, evaluate impacts of proposed projects in different parts of the environment. It includes physical environment like air, water, land, chemical aspects, biological aspects like plants and animals, cultural aspects, socio-economic aspects like people and economy. EIA studies how a project affects everything around us, not just nature. So likewise, definition is also given by United Nations IAIA also. Again, different countries define EIA slightly differently, but the core idea is the same. Okay, so now let's discuss about the main ideas that everyone agrees on about EIA. What do they all agree on? The core concepts. Even though definitions are different, all experts agree on three main things. First, EIA as a part of planning. EIA is not separate from a project, it is a part of project planning. When we plan a project, we must include environmental considerations, impact studies, not after the project starts but during planning itself. Second, EIA is a EIA as a process. EIA is a step-by-step process, not a single action. It includes collecting data, predicting impacts, analyzing results, making decisions. EIA as a proactive approach. You all know proactive means acting before problems happen. So EIA tries to prevent environmental damage, reduce impacts early. Instead of fixing problems later, we avoid them from the beginning. Now diagram, it shows three circles, planning, process, proactive EIA is in the center. Aims of EIA. What's the goal? So this tells us what EIA tries to achieve. First, provide complete and balanced information. EIA provides information for critical analysis of the total environment. It collects and gives full information about the environment so that decisions are made properly. Decision makers should not take decisions blindly. They should have complete and balanced information. Before building a dam, we should know environmental impact, economic benefits, and social effects. Only then we can take a correct decision. Second, include intangible effects. Intangible means things that are difficult to measure in numbers. Examples of intangible effects like loss of natural beauty, cultural impact, social disturbance. EIA includes these effects also, not just things that can be measured like money. Normal cost-benefit analysis may ignore these, but EIA tries to include them in decision making. Third, provide information to the public. EIA shares information with public about the project. People should know what project is planned, what impacts it may have, why it is important, because people have the right to know and sometimes give their opinion. So, EIA aims to provide complete and balanced information, include even non-measurable impacts, and informs the public. Fourth aim, consider alternatives. EIA helps to consider different alternatives and choose the least harmful option. When we plan a project, there is not only one way to do it. There can be multiple options or paths. EIA helps us compare those options and choose the one that causes least damage to the environment. If we want to build a road, we may have route A, route B. One route may destroy forest, while the other may have less impact. EIA helps us choose the better option. So do not just accept one plan, always check better and safer alternatives. Fifth, improve design and protect environment. EIA helps to improve project design and protect the environment using mitigation and avoidance. EIA helps us make the project better, reduce environmental harm. So mitigation means reducing the damage. For example, using filters to reduce pollution, treating wastewater. Avoidance means preventing damage completely. For example, changing project location, not cutting trees. So EIA not only studies impacts, it also helps to make the project safer and better. Do everyone like EIA? Not always. Many people think EIA is a good idea, but in reality, not everyone supports it. First, resistance from planners and engineers. Some planners and engineers feel EIA creates more paperwork and unnecessary effort. People who design and build projects sometimes think EIA makes the project longer, EIA increases documentation, EIA slows down the project approval. So they see it as an extra burden, not always as a helpful tool. EIA is useful, but some professionals feel it makes their work more complicated and time consuming, seen as unnecessary change. Some people believe traditional planning methods were already enough. EIA is an extra step that was not needed. They resist change because they are comfortable with old methods. Criticism in developing countries. In some developing countries, EIA is criticized as not suitable. Some countries feel EIA requires money, expertise, and time. These resources may be limited. Development is urgent, so delays are not preferred. So they think EIA may slow down economic development. These are the problems or complaints people have about EIA. EIA is too complex. Many people feel it is very complicated, it involves a lot of data, it needs experts from different fields. Reports can be long and difficult to understand. Some people say EIA is too technical and confusing. Second, it's too expensive. Doing an EIA requires experts and consultants, field surveys, data collection, analysis. All this costs money. People feel EIA increases the cost of projects. Third, it delays projects. It takes time because studies must be done properly, reports must be reviewed, approvals are needed. Projects move slowly because EIA must be completed first. EIA can be misused to stop development. Sometimes people believe EIA can be used intentionally to block projects. Objections and legal actions may delay or cancel projects. Some think EIA can be used as a tool to stop development, not just protect the environment. Fifth, it is just an add-on and happens too late. In many cases, EIA is done after the project it is already planned, major decisions are already made, so it cannot change much. EIA becomes a formality, not a real decision-making tool. We are too poor to afford EIA. In developing countries, resources are limited, priority is economic growth, so people feel money should be spent on development, not studies. Some countries think EIA is a luxury they cannot afford. EIA does not produce useful results. Critics say reports are ignored, recommendations are not implemented, decisions are already fixed. People feel EIA sometimes becomes just paperwork with no real impact. So EIA process, step-by-step explanation. Think of this as a clear sequence of steps followed before approving any project. Step 1. Identification of projects requiring EIA. First we decide which projects need EIA. Not every project need it. For example, big dams, highway, factory, mining project. We ask a basic question. Is this project big enough to affect the environment? If yes, then EIA is required. Step 2. Identification of the key issues. Now we find out what environmental problems may occur. Examples: air pollution, water pollution, loss of trees, impact on people. So we are identifying the main concerns we should study. Step 3: Impact assessment and evaluation. We study and predict what impacts will happen, how serious they will be. Types of impacts: positive impacts, negative impacts, mixed impacts. We answer what will happen to the environment if this project is built. Step 4: Impact mitigation and monitoring. We try to reduce or control the damage. For example, planting trees, pollution control systems, waste management. Monitoring means checking regularly if things are under control. We ask, how can we reduce harm and keep checking it? Step 5: Review of the EIS. A report is prepared called EIS, Environmental Impact Statement. Experts review it carefully. They check, is the report correct, complete, and reliable? Step 6: Public participation in decision making. So in this step, people or public are involved. They can give opinions. They can raise objections. We ask the public, do you agree with this project? So EIA process is like a systematic checking system. Decide if EIA is needed, find important issues, study impacts, reduce impacts, review the report, involve the public. So now what is the final output of EIA? The answer is Environmental Impact Statement, EIS. It is a final report prepared after completing the EIA process. It contains all the environmental impacts of a project, both positive effects and negative effects. It is like a complete summary document that tells us what good things will happen, what harmful things will happen. What does EIS include? It clearly explains negative effects, means harmful impacts such as pollution, deforestation, harm to wildlife, health problems, and positive effects. These are benefits such as employment generation, infrastructure development, economic growth. So EIS shows the full picture, not just one side. Why it is important? It helps decision makers such as government authorities, planners, policymakers. They use this report to decide whether to approve the project, whether to reject it, whether to modify it. It helps answer the question, should we allow this project or not? So EIS is not the final decision itself, it is only a source of information, a tool to help decision making. Means the final decision is made by authorities, but EIS guides that decision. So a new way of thinking, preventive management. Now what is this preventive management? It means we try to stop environmental problems before they happen instead of fixing them later. So there are two approaches. Prevention, we stop pollution before it occurs. Cure, we clean pollution after it has already happened. So the main idea is prevention is always better than cure. Now, why do we need preventive management? Because environmental damage is often difficult to reverse. Cleaning pollution is expensive. Some damage cannot be fully repaired. It is easier and cheaper to avoid damage than to fix it later. Preventive management in EIA. EIA is an example of preventive management because it studies impacts before the project starts. It suggests ways to reduce harm. It helps in better planning. EIA is not about fixing problems later, it is about avoiding problems in advance. Prevention versus cure. So prevention, it is done before the problems. It saves cost and time. It protects environment. Cure, it is done after the problem. It's expensive and sometimes ineffective as well. For example, If a factory installs pollution control before starting, that is prevention. If it cleans polluted water later, that is cure. Tools of preventive management. It uses different types of tools. First is management based tools. These focus on planning and policies. Examples: environmental impact assessment, environmental management systems. Process based tools. These focus on improving production processes. Examples: cleaner production techniques, reducing waste during manufacturing. Product-based tools. These focus on the product itself. Examples: eco-friendly products, recyclable materials. Now let's look at the preventive management toolbox. This simply means these are the practical tools used to prevent environmental problems before they happen. So there are three categories of tools. All tools are grouped into three types. Management-based tools. These focus on planning, policies, and decision making. Process-based tools. These focus on how activities or production processes are carried out. Product-based tools. These focus on the design and impact of the final product. So first, management-based tools. So these tools help organizations manage environmental performance. Environmental management system, a structured system to manage environmental responsibilities. Environmental performance evaluation, it measures how well an organization is doing environmentally. Environmental audits, regular checking and inspection of environmental practices. Environmental reporting and communication, sharing environmental information with the public and authorities. Total cost accounting includes environmental costs in the financial decisions. Law and policy, it includes government rules and regulations. Trade and environment, it ensures trade activities consider environment impact. Environmental economics, it uses economic tools to protect the environment. So these tools answer the question, how do we plan and manage environmental responsibility? Process-based tools. These tools improve the way production or activities happen. Environmental technology assessment evaluates technologies for environmental safety. Toxic use reduction, reducing harmful substances. Best operating practices, using the most efficient and safe methods. Environmentally best practice, following proven environmentally friendly methods. Best available technology, it uses the most advanced and least harmful technology. Pollution prevention, avoiding pollution before it occurs. Cleaner production, producing goods with less waste and pollution. Clean technology, technologies that reduce environmental harm. Eco-efficiency, producing more with fewer resources and less pollution. These tools answer the question, how can we do things in a cleaner and safer way? Product-based tools. These tools focus on the environmental impacts of the products. Industrial ecology. Industries working like ecosystem where waste is reused. Extended producer responsibility. Producers are responsible for their products even after use. Eco-labeling. Labels that show a product is environmentally friendly. Design for environment. Designing products to reduce environmental harm. Life cycle assessment, studying impacts from production to disposal. So these tools answer the question, how can we make products more environmentally friendly? So that's all for today. Hope you liked the video. If you like the video, please like, share, subscribe. We'll meet with new video soon.